All right. What if I told you the Atlanta Falcons could be gearing up to blow everyone's minds again on draft night, just like they did with Michael Penix Jr. last year? Yeah, buckle up, folks. There's some serious buzz going around Falcons Nation right now. And I'm talking about the kind of buzz that says, hey, what if Atlanta completely ignores all the mock drafts, skips the logical path, and pulls off another absolute wild card move at pick 15? That's right, completely off script. No positional need, just pure chaos. Let's set the scene here. The four names most commonly linked to the Falcons: Mason Smith, Shamar Stewart, Jalon Walker, and Will Johnson, all off the board before Atlanta's on the clock. That's not wild to imagine. So what do you do then? Do you grab an edge rusher because that's what the depth chart says you need? Or do you take the best football player available, even if it means throwing the so-called draft logic out the window? Here's where it gets spicy. There's growing chatter, real rumors based on pre-draft visits and private workouts, that the Falcons are prepping for exactly that kind of scenario. And the name that keeps coming up? Malachi Starks. Now, if you know Georgia football, even a little, you know who Malachi Starks is. This dude's been the brain and heart of the Bulldogs' defense since day one. We're talking about 42 straight starts, folks. That kind of durability? That's gold in this league. Sure, he ran a 4.5 in the 40, not blazing, but he's 6 foot, 200 pounds, and more importantly, his football IQ is off the freaking charts. Coaches in Athens call him the Roquan Smith of the secondary. He's lined up everywhere, deep safety, nickel in the box. And he's still managed 6 interceptions and 23 pass breakups in his career. Yeah, maybe the nerds at PFF dinged him for giving up 453 yards in coverage last year, but let's be honest. When you're used like a chess piece all over the field, sometimes you get blamed for stuff that ain't on you. In today's NFL, where offenses are throwing out 3 receiver sets like candy, and every quarterback thinks he's Patrick Mahomes, having a guy like Malachi Starks, that's a game changer. The dude doesn't just survive in space, he thrives in it. And that's exactly why the Falcons might shock the world again. Now look, the Falcons have made one thing crystal clear over the years. They're not afraid to go best player available, even if it makes fans do a double take on draft night. So if those top 4 edge rushers are off the board, Malachi Starks becomes a legit option at 15. But guess what? He's not the only safety turning heads in Flowery Branch. Let me introduce you to a dude who plays safety like a heat-seeking missile, Nick Emenwari out of South Carolina. This guy is built like a linebacker at 6'3", 220 pounds, but moves with the kind of grace and instincts you'd expect from a seasoned free safety. As a freshman, he came in and immediately earned All-American honors, won team MVP, and oh yeah, took 2 picks to the house last season. The man allowed a QB rating of 37.1 when targeted. That's not just good, that's elite shutdown stuff. This dude is a downhill thumper with ridiculous ball skills. If the Falcons are bringing both Starks and Emenwari in for official visits, they're not doing it for show. They're seriously thinking about going safety in round 1. And honestly, the logic is solid. This edge class is deep. If Atlanta wants a pass rusher, there are options in round 2. Guys who can start right away. But safeties? Whole different story. Emenwari's projected by many as the top safety in the entire draft. If you pass on him at 15, there's a solid chance he's not there at 43. Still not buying that Atlanta might throw another curveball. Let's talk about something that might blow your mind. Offensive tackles. Yeah, offensive tackles. Despite all the draft talk being about defense, 2 big names from the offensive line showed up on their pre-draft visit list: Kelvin Banks Jr. and Josh Conerly Jr. Now I get it. Jake Matthews and Caleb McGarry are both under contract. The line's supposed to be set. But remember what happened with Michael Penix Jr.? No one saw that pick coming either. Maybe, just maybe, the Falcons are thinking a few steps ahead again. Let's break it down. Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas, 6'5", 315 pounds, 3-year starter, locked down that left tackle spot since day one. But when he went up against heavy hitters like Michigan and Georgia, it got shaky, gave up 3 pressures and a sack. Not disastrous, but enough to make evaluators nervous about spending a top 15 pick. Then there's Josh Connerly Jr. from Oregon. He's a bit smaller, 6'4", 311 pounds, and a lot more raw. He's a developmental guy, full of upside, but probably not ready to start day one. And let's be honest, that's not the profile you usually take that early in the draft. But again, Atlanta brought him in. The interest is real. Now you might be wondering, why would the Falcons even think about a tackle with so many other needs? Here's a curveball for you. Michael Penix Jr. is a lefty, which flips the entire offensive line protection dynamic. All right, let's get into some trench talk. You draft a left-handed quarterback like Michael Penix Jr., and suddenly the entire offensive line dynamic flips. That right tackle, Caleb McGarry, he's now your blindside protector. And let's be honest here, McGarry's always been a road-grading, run-blocking machine. But in pass protection, he's had his moments, and not always the good kind. So, if the Falcons want to truly protect their investment in Penix, adding depth, or even competition, at right tackle actually makes a ton of sense. But this is where it gets juicy. There's a name buzzing around that could be the ultimate wild card, a player whose draft stock has skyrocketed like a Roman candle. And no, it's not a linebacker, not a DB, not even a pass rusher. It's Texas wide receiver Matthew Golden. Yeah, Matthew Golden. At the beginning of the pre-draft process, the dude wasn't even sniffing top 25 boards. Mel Kiper didn't have him listed in January. Dane Brugler had him way down at 27. But fast forward to now, Golden is catching fire. Brugler bumped him up to 15. Kiper's got him at 15. Daniel Jeremiah slid him from 22 to 16. That's not just hype. That's full-on momentum. And if the Falcons find themselves sitting at 15 with all their top defensive targets wiped off the board, you telling me they won't consider pulling the trigger on one of the hottest names in the draft? Golden fits. That's the wild part. Drake London is locked in as your X. Darnell Mooney could finally thrive as a true Z, not forced into a slot role like he was in Chicago. And Golden? He's that perfect WR3 Swiss Army knife. He can move around. Slot, motion, jet sweeps, backfield, you name it. This guy can do it. Atlanta's tried putting London in motion and running the gadget stuff through him, and let's be honest, it hasn't worked. Golden could be the piece that makes all that creativity actually click. Now let's get serious for a sec. If the draft board falls apart at 15, do you want the Falcons to reach for a need? Or do you want them to grab a top 10 talent at a different spot? Because Golden ain't just some gadget guy. He's a projected long-term starter. A true 8 to 10 year dude with elite traits and a skill set that matches exactly where this Falcons offense is heading. So here's the bottom line. If that defense isn't jumping from average to elite with a mid-first round pick, why not just go all in on scoring points? Picture this: Penix, London, Mooney, Bijan, Golden. That's not just a football team, that's a show. So Falcons fans, what's the move? Play it safe and take a defender just 'cause it fills a hole?
or embrace the chaos and build an offense that can hang 35 on anybody? Let's hear it.